So number 2 reads, now having finished the first marking period with ease, Mr. Marsh's advanced grammar class welcomed the challenges of the next 45 days. Well, this is our first example of sort of what happens when the participial phrase actually comes in front of the noun. It usually follows a noun, but it can be in front of the noun in some cases. Typically when it starts the sentence, it sits in front of the noun. So what I notice here is I have this having finished, which hopefully you'll recognize as being some kind of verb. But if this was the main verb, you don't have a subject. Like the word now is not your subject. So hopefully you're recognizing that, in this case, welcomed is your verb. And so your subject is class. The class welcomed the challenges. Let's just simply do that. Let's do a part that we feel pretty confident with, which is the class welcomed challenges. Let's build this close to the top and then see if we can make sense of the rest of this. So I'm going to give myself a lot of space underneath my subject because I'm just anticipating some extra stuff coming down. So I'm going to give class big space there, and then I'm going to say welcomed direct object challenges. I hate when my line goes through. It's such a minor detail, but I hate when my line goes all the way through. All right. And then we'd say it's the challenges. And then it's the challenges of days. And it's the days. It's not next days. Do you see it doesn't make sense to say it's the next days, but it's 45 days. And once again, you can flatten 45. Numbers can be flattened as nouns, or you can treat them as an adjective or determiner. 45 days, but I want to say it's the next 45. Does that make sense? I'm going to say it's the next 45. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the beginning. I have Mr. Marsh's advanced grammar class. So let's put these up here. So we're going to have Mr. Marsh's. Talking about myself in third person. That's the worst A ever. It's advanced grammar now. If you want to treat that as one big noun, you can, but I'm going to take it apart just for fun. So I'm going to say grammar. It's a noun. And now look at that word advanced. If you think about it, advanced ends in ed, and it comes from the verb to advance. And so therefore, it's actually a participle. So instead of saying it's advanced grammar, I should bend it and say it is a participle. It is advanced grammar. Look at that. Pop, pop. Now, we also have this other participial phrase at the very beginning. Let's change the color so we can see it a little better. Let's go with this nice pink color. So here's this participial phrase at the very, very beginning, which is having finished the first marking period with ease. It's a participle. There's this ing. It's actually kind of more of a complex one because it actually has two verbs to it, having finished. But it's still an ing, and so it's a participle describing a noun. It's describing the class. The class is finished. So therefore, I'm going to connect it back to the word class because it's not the challenges have finished, but the class has finished the first marking period. So let's build it underneath class. I have just enough room to go here. So here we go. And I'm going to do having finished. And I'm going to save that tricky word now for the very end. Now, you just trust me on this one. So here's my participle, having finished. And now, because I've made it into a participle, and it doesn't matter where you bend it as long as that string of having finished touches somewhere that bends, now I can actually continue on with this participial phrase. The direct object, we finished what? Period. It's the period. It's not, I guess you could say it's the first period. It's also the first marking period. I'm going to keep it, I'm going to put first here. If you want to put first next to marking, you certainly can. But I want you to make sure that you take the word marking and you bend it. Think about it. Marking comes from the verb to mark. And that's why we call it a marking period, is because instead of calling them grades, they used to call them marks. What are your marks in school? It's a marking period. And so it comes from the verb to mark. So we will bend it. It's a marking period. So the period, first period, marking period. And like I said, if you want to connect first to marking, it's the first marking, you certainly can. I was just going to say it's the first period, but it's also a marking period. I kept them separate. And then we'd say with ease. It's not a period with ease. I know it's right next to the word period, but think about it logically. It's not a period with ease, but you finished it with ease. So I'm going to put it here, with ease. I don't know how to spell the word ease. All right, there we go. Let's try it with an E this time, Jeffrey. Look at me. And then lastly is this word now. Usually a participial phrase or a participle will just be like by itself like that. And then this time I actually have this little adverb. It happens sometimes because a participle is part verb. You could have an adverb with it. It could be like a word now. You could have like a not having finished. So just treat it like it's an adverb. So if this is the adjective side right here and the verb side's the bottom part, it makes logical sense that the word now has to touch the verb side. So it's now having finished. And that's how we diagram this one. Okay, so what we've shown is a participle here. We've shown a participle here. And then we've shown a participial phrase here. Okay. If you're ready, go on to number 3.